Question. Let's talk about awkward times and boundaries. No, I know that's not a question. It's actually a statement. Gotcha. Back in a few. Hi, this is Jan from New York City, and my channel name is Jan from New York City Saves Money. I'd like for you to also know that I'd like to help save time, effort, energy, and even once in a great while sanity. I have a guest with me today. Hardly ever needs an intro. Steve.
Hey,
Hi, Steve.
hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
Good. This is Steve Young from the Steve Young 74 channel. He has an amazing channel. We'll get into it later, and I hope you head on into it. And I'll drop some of his shows in the description box below. Thank you so much, Steve, for coming here today.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to talk about, Steve, about awkward times that may require boundaries. And I know that you've experienced some, I know that I've experienced some, but I'd like to start off with your experience, if you'd be so kind to mention.
Uh, okay. Well, one of this is pretty. It bothers me, and it's an immediate. See you later. Bye. I gotta go. Uh, moment. What it? Okay. Imagine whether you're talking to somebody face to face, or if you're having a phone conversation. Have you ever been on the phone or in person and a person likes to dominate the conversation and you're trying to speak, you may only be able to get in two or three words if you're lucky, but they just keep talking. That's pretty rude and disrespectful to the other person that is in the conversation, and it'll completely turn me off. I'll Once I know that's happening, I might be there 15, 20, half a minute. I'll look down. Well, I just remembered I have an appointment that I need to go to, or oh shoot, I have to go do. Anyway, I will whatever it is I say or do at that moment. I'm going to escape kindly out of that so-called conversation, and then that's the end of it. I don't like a person who dominates a conversation. That's why I'm there. A conversation is supposed to be mutual. They can talk, then they pause at some point, allow me to speak, back to them, back to me. It's a little bit like a ping pong effect. Not give somebody the floor and you just sit there, uh huh, okay, yeah, oh, really? Oh, didn't know that. No, 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 that's not how it works, as far as I'm concerned. It's, mm-mm,
Yeah, most definitely.
mm-hmm.
And if along with those lines, it's really funny. Has this ever happened to you? You're the person that makes the call. You are the caller, and the recipient of the call is so engrossed in their agenda, they're not even asking you the purpose of your call. Does that even make logical sense?
It does. It does. And then, another thing to elaborate on what I said already is when you have somebody call, you pick up, hey, hello, how are you doing? Hi, what's going on? Hey, I just wanted to talk to you for a couple of 3 minutes, something I got to say. And then in the course of you talking, or you say, okay, sure, you know, to be polite. Well, their 2, 3, 5 minute conversation becomes 20, 25, a half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes even an hour. And I can't do it. If I sat there, well, I'm not, I can't do it, but I have sat through a few in the past. And what it does is it bores me and it makes me tired. So that I've just learned as I've gotten a little older, get out of the conversation. You know, that's the only thing you can do. I'm not going to sit there. I mean, I'll give somebody a few minutes of their time, 5 or 10 minutes, but if you exhaust and it's just solely you, I have to go. That's what it boils down to with me.
You know what it is? It's almost as if that person is saying, you are not valued. When people do that constantly, and then when they're done with their spiel, boom. Okay. So this is where the boundary part, okay, that was the like frustrating part. But in my opinion, this is where the boundary line has to get drawn. This is where I draw the line too. I agree with you wholeheartedly, Steve.
Mhm.
Have you had another situation like that or something similar?
Well, the other situation I had, this is just the opposite. Again, they're being rude to me. This is a true story. This actually happened. This was probably mm, 20 plus years ago, probably middle, late 90s. I don't remember the exact year. And locally and adjoining counties, a few counties, you know, a few counties around me, even southern Georgia, so to speak. There was this newspaper called the Coastal Trading Post. It doesn't exist anymore with the internet. That pretty much, took them out of business. My dad had this Atari 2600 uh, video game system, popular back in the 80s. And it came with about 20, 25 games. And this one guy decides to call me. He, I pick up the phone. Hello. Hi, I'm calling about your Atari system that you have for sale, your 2600. I said, yeah, yeah. I said, hold on. Let me go find out, see if the person, that has the item that can tell you more about it is here. But I said, I'm pretty sure, I still have the item for sale. It's here. So my dad wasn't anywhere to be around, and he and I had a little chat. He was having a little bit second thoughts about selling it, or the price was wrong. I can't remember what it was about, being so long ago. So the guy decides to be a little nasty to me. He says, "Oh, so you have an item for sale and you don't know if you have it or not?" I said, technically, it's not my item. So I can't tell you 100% for sure. So then he starts going into this little rant. Well, that person and you live in the same household and you don't know if you have this item or not. You should be more in communication with your dad or your other person. And he just goes on and on and on. He just starts getting real nasty.
Excuse me. Mhm.
But what I do is, again, I was on a corded phone at the time, and I pull the phone away from my ear and I look at it. He's still rambling on. And I just hung up on the guy. He was still talking when I hung up. Do I like do I like to do things like that to people? No, I
Um,
don't. But at that moment, it was the time and the place for me to do that. It was one of two things. Either I do that, or I come back at him, and he may not always necessarily might have not liked the way I came back at him, because I could have come back at him in sort of a diabolical way that he wouldn't have liked, and then he would have hung up on me. But I didn't give him the time of day to do that. I just
yeah. Yeah.
um, whatever became of that Atari system, I can't remember though. I know it eventually got sold, but I don't
Right.
remember what became of that. But you just got, believe me, one of the things I can say, and it reverts back to one of my videos that I put up yesterday, knowing the flea market, and not just the flea market, but from the flea market, you do run across all walks of life when it comes to people that are
Yeah.
You do have some people that have no problem. Oh, you want $10? Sure. Pull out a $10 bill, boom, done deal. And of course, you have others that, if you got a $10 bill, as I mentioned, lowball, which I don't like lowballing. I give you three. I'll give you $2. Oh no, you won't. Um, if we agree on a price, maybe 7 or 8,
Yeah.
we'll go along with that. It's negotiating. There's a difference between, people don't realize, between negotiating and lowballing. There is a difference. Some people think it's the same thing.
Right.
It is not.
Right. I so agree with you. You know, on another show, I'll discuss how I started a flea market for my local parish. I was the first one that started it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into that another show. But Steve, your points are valid. I have a little bit of an awkward thing that I feel. I never discuss politics on my channel. I never will discuss politics on my channel. In fact, in private, I don't discuss politics, period, because I believe that certain things I like to keep to myself. There are just a few topics in my life that I will always be private about. But one thing I don't like when I don't mind anyone having their own political agenda. This is what men and women have fought and died for, the freedom to have that agenda. But don't try to stuff my throat with your agenda. Not you, Steve, life in general, the world.
Yeah.
Everyone is entitled to their agenda. I live my quiet, peaceful life and just want to make my great messages and enjoy my family and my friends and not have to deal with, oh, you're watching this thing or you're doing that thing or this thing. And please, everyone, just live your life peacefully and keep it at that.
I'm the same way.
I mean, really.
I'm the same way. I'm not a political person.
Yeah.
I don't particularly care to talk about race. I don't like to talk about, race, religion, politics.
Yeah.
And the reason why, and I'm sure you'll agree with this as well, because all that does, whether it's on social media or if you're sitting down at a table somewhere, a discussion turns into a debate.
Right.
And when debates start, that level can escalate, and there's no telling where it can lead to. I look at it this way, that when it comes to politics, I don't care who's right, who's wrong, religion, who's right or wrong, race and all of that.
Right.
Yes, I have my beliefs on that. Is my beliefs going to be what somebody else? No, not necessarily. But it can lead to a fight. It can literally lead to a stand-up, hit
A
each
bad problem.
That's why, if you want to throw yourself in a pit of piranhas or sharks, quote unquote, diddle daddle with those topics and you'll find out real fast. I don't deal with it. I did a little bit years ago before I knew just how heated it can get, but I don't mess with it now. I don't talk about liberals. I don't talk about Democrat. I don't talk about Republican, and I leave it alone.
That's it.
When it comes to a certain social media platform that most of us use, I know you're on it, and that's where I met you, and a few other people. I'm just there to post something funny.
Yeah.
And comment on a few people's comments, threads, and I'll post music. And that's it. I leave it right there.
Right.
I don't go any further.
For those that wish to be politically active, God bless you. God keep you. I don't choose that. That is not my path. I rather teach. I rather create. I want to live my peaceful, quiet life. All I care about is my God and my family and my friends. And in that order: God, family, friends. just like that. I don't want anybody stuffing their political agenda down my throat, and that's the way it is.
That's right.
Because if you do that, I will walk away. It will not be a friendship. There will not. Because I just don't want, you could have your right to say anything for your own sake, but don't tell me what to believe. Don't tell me what to, I will make up my own mind. We're allowed to make up our own mind.
That's right. That's, yeah.
The day we're not allowed to do that, we have a big problem.
Mm-hmm. We do.
Well, anyway, Steve, I want to thank you so much, as always, for your time. You're absolutely a great conversationalist, as always. So thank you so much for your input. I appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. I was glad that I could hop aboard. Like I said, I definitely have some decent free time most of the time, so I have no problem.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add before we go?
Well, let me see. Yeah, let's see. One thing that, oh, here we go. It just came to me what I wanted to say.
Sure.
Straight. We need to start, honestly, we need to start going back to olden times. And what I mean by that is we need to try to be like people were back in the 1950s, 60s, 70s. Yeah, even some in the 80s, in the 40s. Everybody back then knew kindness and respect and lended a helping hand if somebody needed it back in those days. You have enough hatred in the world. You don't need to just go and sprinkle salt on an open wound and make it worse.
Right.
Why don't we think about going back to times of the 1950s, back, I'm a music person. I love music. I mean, let's go back to the days of Teresa Brewer, Joan Weber, Kay Starr, Andy Williams, Pat Boone, Fats Domino, Chuck Berry. The list goes on and on. Let's go back to those days when, also back at a time when children did not talk back to their parents,
True.
which that bothers me the most, because don't talk back to your parents. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So
Right.
that's, that was the last 2 cents that I wanted to mention. I just feel we just need to bring back love and friendship and
Yeah.
politeness, and stop with the hatred. There's
Yeah.
enough of it out there.
Enough, like your video, which I'm going to hook up in my description box below. For those who missed one of Steve's most, really, in my opinion, very powerful videos. Enough is enough. I'm going to hook that one up. There are so many. If you've never heard of Steve Young's channel, it's Steve Young 74 channel. Head on over to that channel. Give it a sample. I am oftentimes on Steve's show, but that's not what the main thing is about. Steve, you have random subject matter. Would you like to dive a little deeply and talk about this?
Well, my channel is definitely random. It's definitely a mixed bag. From 1 minute I might, and if you go to my channel and look, it's definitely proof in the pudding. I'll go from talking about TV trivia to flea market, the video that you mentioned that we both did, Enough is Enough. Sometimes I like to do, product review of 2 different items, maybe 3, depends on what it is. I'm definitely a random channel. You really don't know, what's going to come about from 1 minute to the next. But what does come about, I hope, is informative and of help to who's watching it. That's
Excellent.
that's really what matters to me, is that right there. If that happens, I've achieved my goal.
Excellent. The viewer always walks away with something from your shows.
That's good.
Well, thanks again, Steve. Thank you, everyone, for viewing. Steve and I really do appreciate whose time? Your time. Don't forget to come back in the future for some more tips and tricks. Today we touched upon the sanity part. There you go. Have an amazing, fantastic day. Take care, everyone.